pedantic model. Thanks for that.
Good
Yeah,
idea.
sorry.
Thank you, Sam.
I should have done that at the beginning. Apologies. Carry on from where you were, though. We can.
Sure. So yeah, the vehicle for the integration would be this model that define the expected schema of the configuration object that AI Gateway needs to receive in order to construct the flow out of it. It still has some gaps, so we plan to do it like in the very next following days, is to fully translate this YAML that I was showing and where it went. Here it is. Because like there's more things that could be standardized and expressed or described as a schemas than the one that I just showed you right now in this flow config. Come on, go closer. Okay, yeah, here it is. So, and let me bring it to the other side. So this one is only for describes like the very upper layer, like the version, environments, components, but it doesn't really describe those things. But we'll update this module to be full schema that we expect. So in some shape or form, like we discussed, whether it would be just a like small package or small library that can be imported in Rails, or whether we would just generate some kind of JSON schema that can be loaded directly as raw. We can decide what would be the most convenient, but can expose you the grammar that we expect, and then based on this grammar, you can build those objects that are following or that are being validated by this grammar on the Rails side and send them over the wire. There is no API yet, so we need to build the API to receive such kind of objects. And that is the issue that we discussed about that we need to build some API on the AI Gateway side to receive those objects from you. But with these objects received and being like valid according to the grammar that we provide or expose in the AI Gateway, then it's basically no different than the loading from locally from YAML. And this is what we are doing right now. So we just take the IDs, resolve them, and you can see that we just load them from YAML. And instead of loading from YAML, we could just imagine that there'll be some kind of like, I don't know, the start request flow configuration or whatever that will load. Does it all make sense?
So
I
overall,
think so.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, I think that perfectly aligns with, yeah, like, you may or may not have seen our team built a few kind of really hacky proof of concepts just to show that we could do this. I think we used the existing like start workflow or whatever it is API that you've got, and we sort of shoehorned a JSON in there that would then sort of be deconstructed within one of the existing workflows. We kind of did that so I see this as just the kind of proper approach of implementing what we hacked in, which is exactly what I was expecting. So yeah, so far so good.
So yeah, honestly, we with Mikołaj, we thought about that like what we currently have with GitLab CI, right? UI. So when you put your YAML definition of the CI job, right, and then you can validate, right, your CI file. I think it looks very similar to what we're trying to build with catalog team and with flow registry, right? Like on our side, we can build this API routes, and like for your team, I think one of the main thing to consider is this YAML DSL that we have, and also these Pydantic models in Python. But honestly, it's all about the same. It's just Pydantic models, they load this YAML or JSON definitions, right, that we use later in our AI gateway code, right? But with the API, we can reuse these Pydantic models so that you will be only allowed to send the JSON in the structure that Pydantic model allows, right? So that's the thing that we can do and build quite fast.
So to give you like I have no idea what our minimum viable is going to be at the moment, but what we've started with from an agent point of view is a user prompt, a system prompt, and a list of tools.
That's a very good
So,
question.
so the next point, and Sam, actually, I'm stealing Sam's glory here because he actually put this in the document that we saw there that in your flow definition you had reference to agents. Now, I think what we're going to have to do is probably build a package or whatever you want to call it, a flow definition, which includes the definitions of the agent, everything together. Can you just maybe share your screen again and show us, like, do you have like one agent at the moment, 10 agents? Do you pass that agent a couple, like, we're calling them agents, but it could be that there's actually one agent, but it's called generic agent or dynamic agent, and we just pass it some params. So thanks.
So like there'll be more different components. So like in this flow registry, we try to define different primitives that user will use to build this flow configuration. And you can see there's components in here and routers. So like the components are the agents, the things that happens, they take actions, and routers just arrange them in some sort of structure representing the process. And you can see there's like this one, right now there's only one very generic agent, like the component that is agent component that takes a prompt or like actually just the IDs of a prompt in the prompt registry on the AI gateway side. So there is this prompt registry, and there's a bunch of different prompts already there.
That's the thing that you probably need to consider.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you would like to send system and user prompts, but at this moment you see, because we don't have any customer-facing agents, we store all prompts, so they are, you see, kind of not static, right? So we store them in our prompt registry on the AI gateway side as YAML files, right, with Jinja templates. So honestly, I don't know. Maybe for the first iteration, maybe it's fine, to send the prompt ID that we store in the prompt registry. But for the next iteration, we definitely need to store. We need to send user prompts and system prompts, right? But maybe exactly in the same format as we store them in the prompt registry.
So I guess, like, in my head, what I'm thinking we need for the very first, even way before we get to sort of viable or minimum or whatever, but to demonstrate this working, we need to be able to pass something. So is that in this instance, that would be the goal, right? Which is injected into the user prompt. Okay. Sam, are you fairly sort of comfortable that we, like, again, this is very much for the first part of the first iteration, but we have like that one thing, all we can define in an agent maybe initially as a goal.
So things that you can, like, or what you can do is like you can basically play with all these attributes that you have in here. So you can connect it to the different prompts that are being defined here. Or if you want to demonstrate something different, you could just come into the AI gateway contributor prompt to the prompt registry, and it'd be there.
And use it just by its ID and versions. Maybe would be the fastest way. Yeah.
So you're passing the goal through as an input there. Like, is it simple to create a new like entry in the prompt registry that also takes, like, literally that you get the templates for user task, system prompt, and we could just pass them through as inputs? Do you know what I mean? Like
it's a very hack approach. Yeah, we
just to test it, right? Like,
but that sounds, to be honest, very interesting. I think we can follow that, right?
Awesome.
But because if you check the prompt on the right side, you see, so Go, it's like a place.
I think that's really clever, really clever approach. Like I'm not sure if we should dive that much in the details, but the way how I would see this probably playing out is there is this field additional context in here in the start workflow request. So which you can prefill in addition to goal. And those additional contexts are the just the envelopes, object envelopes that contain different types of information. So I think that we could use this as a vehicle to what you're trying to achieve, where you could just send the additional context as the system prompt, user prompt.
Yes. Yes. With
And then we will load them. Like this is not implemented yet, but it's on our MVC roadmap to take whatever additional contexts are being sent and put them into the flows context, and which could be then referenced in here. So in this case, assuming that we are following, like the syntax or the name may change, like we may find, but it would look like, let's say, additional user context or input or whatever, and then it will be system prompt.
Okay.
Because the inputs field is it's an array. It's not a single entity, so you can put as much as you want.
And then system prompt, it should be part of the prompt template as a placeholder.
Yeah. So those things just needs to match
the
variables in here. So you could with this go like
you don't need context goal in this case, Mikołaj. Just system prompts.
Well, because like that doesn't really matter. Oh yeah, we don't really need the goal.
Yeah, they will build it on their.
Yeah.
So system prompt will replace exactly what we have here.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
I love this approach, to be honest. That sounds cool.
Keep it simple. I'm sure we'll have like security questions and various other things, but before, like for building a proof of concept, etc. This looks like exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah, because essentially what we want to test now is, can we create a bunch of custom agents and then flows using them custom agents? And if we can't send system prompts, then that, they're not custom agents. We'd almost have to put in the system prompt nothing at all and rely entirely on the user prompt, which feels weird. But yeah, if we can hack this in like this, I'm happy for now, and we'll definitely not release this to the general public like this. But we can at least show that the catalog's working and test some things, right?
Yeah, that's really cool in this context. Really cool thing about these additional contexts is that they are by default tied to the unit primitives. I'm not sure if you are familiar or not with unit primitives, but we can define this intermediate work in progress unit primitive that will lock it out from everyone else until we release it, because we may not include it into the licenses.
Right. Okay.
So the system prompt and the user prompt can be locked behind the workflow catalog development unit primitive, and that way it will be just like, even if it's there, no user would have this unit primitive, so they won't be able to send this data in, and if they will try to hack it, it will just crash.
Fine.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
So I think then, sorry, would you mind sharing that YAML one more time?
It's absolutely. I wasn't sure if we are like still want to look at the code or we want to just discuss something else, and we don't really have to look.
If we could just look at that YAML.
I think we need to print this YAML out and stick it on our wall.
So in here you've got inputs, content. So what I'm trying to get a hang of in my head, and I can't even remember how we call this from the monolith. So this would be like we build a payload, which at the moment it would be really helpful if I could get that up so I can remind myself of, like, in the start workflow service or the create workflow or run workflow or somewhere like that. Where do we do it? So yeah, we create a payload, I think, that's got like the project current user, and somewhere that must then get converted into a different kind of payload that's sent via the API. Like, so this would be one field in the payload that the API is sending, right, with the definition here. But in addition to that, the other fields contain that actual context.
Yeah. So like, as for how we're gonna transfer this definition, like this is still in the air. Like we can discuss because there's no API to do that. So since we need to create it, we have the flexibility to decide whether we would like to pack it within this start workflow request, whether we would like to fetch it in some different way. Probably the one like thing to consider is that the more back and forth requests we do, the slower the startup is. So trying to batch as many things that we can in a reasonable amount helps with the performance, but it's not a fixed requirement. If we see that there's a good reason to have a separation to different APIs, fine by me.
Yeah, in my head, I had that it would either be the same API that's currently being used to execute from the monolith, or a mutation of that, if that makes sense, that allows more control and flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that probably we are missing right now, we share some knowledge with Nikolai, but we don't have any good docs right now because we are actively developing, this stuff. So maybe it's a good time for us to start updating docs with every MR that we have right now, because we can do that quite fast. We have agents right now to generate documentation. What do you think if we start, let's say, updating the docs so that you will be up to date always with the changes that we make? So
I think that will definitely be helpful for us. Ultimately, like what we're going to keep pestering you for is just like, when is it available? What do we need to send? And like, as I say, our minimum viable, because we can already start a workflow. So we've already kind of done that as a proof of concept. We just start an existing and with a hat, sort of a branch or whatever, but to actually have something that's in this is the direction they're actually heading in. We've got this API. You can pass us, like I say, at the moment, I think a workflow that maybe contains only one agent, that has a user prompt and a system prompt, and tools as well. It looks like you've got tool sets in this definition, so that's great. I think that's probably will be our very first, again, I'm going to call it POC, not iteration or minimum viable or whatever, but then we can figure out quite rapidly from there, okay, now we want to be able to do the chaining of flows, and we want to have deterministic and non-deterministic, and we want to have routers and these other bits and pieces. But the first thing I think we would love to be able to kind of show working is I go into the monolith, I create an agent, which is a system prompt and a user prompt. I give it access to a tool like read issue, and then I can execute that pings over to Duo Workflow Service, and everybody's happy.
Yeah,
like I originally thought of testing agents as like a totally separate API, but in reality we can just have a one agent flow to do that for now, right? Like we just said, don't pass it on to the next agent, or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's a good point. You're right. There is a subtle distinction there between like, I'm testing an agent, so I'm running an agent, a flow, which is just this agent, versus, well, my flow actually contains, although saying that the agent contains the tool definitions, the triggers I think are not going to be relevant to Duo Workflow Service. We're going to be handling the triggers in the monolith. Yeah, so it's only once we then start to add the capability of chaining and routing and those kind of things that...
Which I think we can have that complexity on our end, right? Like if you test an agent, it will run a one agent flow on the workflow service, and we can
build that.
We can hand wave that and make it sound like you're testing an agent, and then when you're testing a flow, you're testing an actual flow. But as far as the workflow service is concerned, everything is a flow, right?
Yeah, it's like whether it be like this one I was testing with is 2 agents
Yeah.
flow.
Yeah,
Now
just
it's 1 agent flow.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly, right. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
like
saying. It keeps it simpler on your end,
and it's like okay, to be that's right now
yeah.
that's 1 agent flow. That's it. So like however you will present it in the UI doesn't really bothers the service
Yeah.
as long as you send the valid flow definition or
Yep.
flow configuration to us. We are good. Like whether it be 1 or 2 and how they will be chained together. Like one caveat. I'm just to make sure that we are on the same page. In most cases, I would say that rather we would prefer that the chaining and routing would be done as a flow. So instead of promoting users to like create a 2 flows with single agent, right? So something like that. And then you're trying to orchestrate that on the Rails side. So once the flow A has been run, I'm gonna trigger flow B.
Right. Yeah. No, we're not doing that. Don't
Oh,
worry.
perfect. Yeah. I wanted to make sure that we are on the same
Yeah,
page.
no. The reason for the single agent one is like, let's say you're in the UI, you've created an agent that is your pirate agent, right?
Yeah.
And you want to quickly test it with, I give it an input, what output is that? Okay,
Yeah.
great, that works. Now I'll add that to my flow.
Exactly.
We wouldn't say run this, then Rails figure out the next step and run that step. Like that's a complexity that I'm very happy we don't have to deal with, right?
Cool. Yeah, then we're on the same page. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this YAML DSL probably sounds like a contract between the 2 teams right now, right? Like this gRPC contract. And I think it's very important, right? So, because that's the syntax that we have right now, but we don't say that it's ideal one, right? So routers section can be complex, so maybe we'll change it as well one day.
Yeah, so one thing to just highlight, and forgive me, I hope you have seen it. I haven't got an immediate link to it, but Basti sort of seemed to be suggesting that you might not want to expose this DSL directly.
Yes.
Now, I almost like this sounds bad. I don't care. Like to me, it seems easiest if you do, because then you just have to build one thing. And we can take
what I mean by not exposing, sorry to catch you in. What I mean by not exposing is that internally within GitLab, we are fine to expose it. Like we are absolutely fine to use it.
Okay.
What we don't want to do is expose the raw YAML to the users, because then they will try to start to use YAML. They will put them in some repositories, whether it will be in their repositories they host in GitLab, or even if we say that no, you cannot really, we will not read it from your repository that like we are reading the gitlab.ci YAML, but we accept the YAML input that you have like this large text form that you can just paste in YAML or send it via API. Users would create those YAMLs and store in repository, because I get why they would that. It's way easier to review, to version and whatnot. But then migrating from one version of this DSL to another would be virtually impossible.
No, that's really awesome that you said that, because that's exactly what we're building is, right, here's a definition in a table in Rails. Yes, it is in JSON, but JSON in Rails allows us to do migrations and all clever stuff. We're versioning that schema. And then dynamically, we will build, whatever you want to call it, the YAML that you need when the flow is being executed, and send it via the API. So we would never be storing this. The definition, our schema and definition will be maybe similar in a few ways, but quite different, I think, from yours. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that was what we meant about exposing and not exposing.
Perfect. Appreciate that clarification. Thank you.
But honestly, like having YAML to build these custom agents would be great. But I think we are just it's too early, right, for us, because we are still changing a lot of different stuff. So yeah, it will be hard to this backward compatibility, right?
Yeah, it will be just a huge like it will be very soon become a burden that will slow us down tremendously. So like we can use it YAML internally via AI gateway. We can communicate and reuse it, but what we cannot do is expose it to external users. Like
Fine.
as long as in
Cool.
internal, we just will take this tech debt and just migrate it because we can. And once externally to the users, that's when it becomes tricky. Yeah, in terms of the next steps, so like we are focusing with Alex heavily to deliver like actually this thing in this very initial, not maybe even full MVC state, but experimental state that is there, is in production. You can plug it in upcoming days. And actually it should be just days. What is being missing is this API that as I discussed. And even you had some ideas how it can be integrated into start workflow request. And I think that from my point of view, I'm even okay with you taking the lead and like actually modifying the contract and adjusting it so you can send this configuration object to the service. And
was that directed at me?
Yes, yeah.
So the only sort of caveat I would make is our team has zero Python expertise or knowledge or skills.
So if you don't feel like you're in a good position to do that, that's fine. I think that we can take it as our group. I just thought that
I
may be willing to do that.
No, and I mean the thing is, even if I thought like we could start something and that would give you a springboard, but I genuinely don't think that the knowledge we've got from Python, I think it'd be more of a hindrance than a help. I think you would sort of say, oh no, it'd be better if we approach it in this way and that way. I think, yeah, it's one of the instances where I don't know what good analogy there is, but
yeah, no worries. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
I think just so I'm understanding though, what you're saying is right now well, not right now, but in a few days, whenever it is, we'll be able to send configurations through workflow service, but we won't have that API to communicate with it, right?
So like, yeah, what we are building right now is like literally the YAML that you're seeing is on my local, and I'm using it to test the merge request that is in review to run it in a service on my local.
So that would allow me, you, etc., to create additional ones of those in GUI workflow service.
Yeah.
Self-contained. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that's where we're aiming at. So like this is what we want to deliver in the upcoming days.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can also like bring more people in because I think that's like probably we need to double check with Basti, but I'm like almost sure that he don't mind that you can bring other engineers from our group to start building the API for you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
But like what I was aiming at with this upcoming days is this part without the API because it's still a lot of ground to cover. And we try to get the working system in place without worrying about the integration with the another systems. But I think we can start this work in parallel and then try to bridge it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So
the way I'm thinking about it right now, well, I'm saying right now, in the days after you've delivered this part, right, we'll still be able to create a config and test that, right? So we can do. We're not fully automating that full flow of us creating a flow
let me put words
and
in your mouth,
testing it,
Sam.
right?
So we could press run flow in our system and it will display a YAML on screen that you have to copy and paste into GUI workflow service. And that will,
Yeah. That should be.
So again, that means we can work in parallel while you're building the API. We can be building the service that will create the YAML that we're going to include and send. Yeah, that's good. And I know what the next question Sam's going to ask is going to be.
No, that's great. I'm happy with just that, right? Like I said, I want to be able to test that flow. If it goes from being not able to test to adding a manual, you have to be an engineer to do this step, I'm fine with that. Then we have the API where essentially anyone can run it. I've already spoke to Basti about when we can expect to see the API. He said 18.3. That's pretty soon. How do you two feel about 18.3 for that, right? Like, is that
So
feasible?
Yes, with a caveat that would be experimental, not fully MVC, only, absolutely only for internal use. I mean,
Yes.
your group, our group, not even widely
Yes,
advocated in
I
the
agree with
GitLab,
that.
saying like now the security, now the create, manage, everyone can come in and create their own flows. No, absolutely not
Okay.
yet. But because you're building on top of a lot of infrastructure, you will be able to come in, also work closely with us, give us a feedback like where it feels clunky, because like what we want to do once we have this not full MVC, we want to dog food it on our own side. So you will build 1 or 2 flows using these YAMLs in a gateway, which will help us understand where we fall short. We may make breaking changes at this point in time.
Totally understandable. Yeah.
And that's why I'm also discussing like the internal between just 2 groups, because it'd be easier to say like, we just reach out to you and say like, hey, we are about to make a breaking change. Brace, like we're gonna shake the API because we found something that's really, really clunky, and that's the best way to address it at this point.
Yep.
But yeah, it should be available for you, only for you in the 18.3.
That's awesome. Now
That's a good caveat to add. Thank you, Mikołaj.
But yeah, sorry, go ahead. By the so one thing that we just to clarify, because AI Gateway currently it contains 2 parts, right? The classic old AI Gateway and the dual workflow service that we run. So the classic one, it has like pretty like classical REST API, right? So where you just send JSON payloads. But let's say for the dual workflow service, we rely on gRPC to communicate with the executor, right? So I believe when we talk about API, we mainly talk about updating gRPC, right?
Yeah.
Adding one more endpoint and contract, right? Okay.
Yeah. I think that we are all on the same page. We discussed about this contract at this around the start workflow request. Those are gRPC messages. So I believe, please confirm like Sam or Lee if.
I mean, that's a little over my head, to be totally honest with you. But I know JDip's been looking at the gRPC stuff in the past, so I think this will be familiar to him. I don't know what your thoughts are on
my
it, Lee.
thinking would be we've already got stuff in the monolith that communicates using this channel, right? As long as we've got that, then we should be able to kind of use that to extend to do this. The only thing I'm thinking of, this is definitely for further down the line though, but it's just, I know we were talking before when we were thinking of actually getting like workflow definitions from GI workflow service into the monolith. We were thinking of like, do we want like a Ruby gem or something that lives in the AI Gateway project, so that when you change, I don't quite know how we'll do this, but when you do change the schema and definition and the contract, like we need to figure out what that breaking change process. Obviously, once we're in sort of a more production and GA or beta or whatever, we'll somehow need to align. When you do a deployment to AI Gateway, we'll need to have the new definitions being generated in monolith as well. So I'll try and create an issue or make sure we don't lose sight of that for the future.
Yeah.
Can we? I mean, like we can also store grammar of the version, let's say, of the YAML DSL version, right, that we support. And let's say if we change the version, we also need to regenerate the grammar. I mean, the schema, right? You can always fetch the schema and apply, right, on your side to verify if everything fine or not on your side.
That sounds good. Like if we can have a test or something that will fail and alert us to that, but obviously it still means, oh, it's broken. So we need some way of syncing, but that's a bit further down the line. So
we're gonna figure it out when we be at this point. Like
I think we'll solve that, because we use protobuf a lot there. Maybe we'll find a way, how we can maybe we present this YAML DSL with the protobuf. I don't know.
There's a bunch of options there. So like it's solvable. One thing that like we should highlight right now is that we already building this flow registry with the idea of versioning in mind.
Yeah.
You might notice in even in this YAML DSL that we state version, and we also version the classes, because part of the YAML grammar is the list of these components. Like you saw the agent component, there will be much more different components specialized to deliver different things. And those lists of these components and their attributes would be part of this contract between our groups, our systems. So the users will be able to, okay, I see that I have an agent component, but I may have a specialized planner agent component that is like super good at planning. I may have this deterministic components that can run some things without any AI. So we will expose these things. But as you said, like I think that we started with the versioning in mind. So there shouldn't be like a panic. Okay, now we need to make a breaking change. What to do now? We are prepared for that in some ways. Maybe not fully prepared, but at least like we consider that part, and we can cross that bridge when we get there.
Perfect.
So are we saying in theory that like we can still talk to an old version to make sure nothing breaks? Is that where we're going with the version? Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Awesome. Thanks. That is really, really helpful, and we'll look forward to hopefully in a couple of days having the schema a bit more that we can play with. What we didn't cover there, we talked about but didn't quite figure it out. So should we take the lead on creating this dynamic agent within the GUI workflow service that takes allows you to completely specify the user prompt and the system prompt? Or
no, I think that would be on us. We need to make one change to make it possible also from the flows
Perfect.
registry side.
Okay.
So we can consume this additional context properly because we haven't really
Yes.
added that bit yet.
We can do that on our side.
Yeah, it's not too big. And once we are doing that, we can also create this prompt that will just consume those things. So it will be easier. So yeah, that can be on our side.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, and in the future, everything like we intend to expose the model and the temperature and everything can all in the way down the line. We can. Awesome. Perfect.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks a lot for the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. This has been
really helpful.
Yeah,
Thanks
sorry,
so much.
sorry for not being responsive of the issue last week, but we were just fully focused on like running with it as fast as we could because we know there's a lot of people waiting. And also for that to be way easier for us explaining what we will have in mind when we have something concrete. That's why we kind of try to laser focus on the delivering the as much as I could. But yeah, now hopefully we are reaching to the point that we can take some step back and also deliver something for you. So yeah.
Amazing.
Appreciate
Thanks everyone.
that.
Have a great day. Cheers.
Enjoy.
Bye.